Welcome to lesson 5. Today we take a break from the keyboard and try to learn a bit of music theory to understand how sheet music works and what the applications are and how it applies to learning piano. You might have seen sheet music with musicians or in movies or TV where you see a musician with a piece of paper in front of them and they read that and plays their instrument simultaneously. Sheet music is a great way to record and share music in writing. And it also helps collaboration a lot. So if you have a piece that you want to play with other musicians, they could each have their own version of the sheet for the same music, and that would make it easier for everybody to play together. So let's get into it. This is what you'll commonly see in a sheet. You'll have a group of 5 lines going across multiple rows on a single piece of paper, and that is referred to as staff lines. Every group of 5 lines is staff lines, and notes go on top of these lines and in between the lines as well. The spaces are also used to denote what note is being played right now. Now you'll notice that this sheet over here has 5 lines and it has a single row of only one group of those 5 lines. A sheet like this would be used for instruments like a violin or a guitar or trumpets or saxophones, where you usually have only one melody line or harmony line to follow. But for piano, you're gonna see a group of 2 lines being followed to that are running together, and these lines are used in such a way that the top line indicates what you have to play on the right hand and the bottom line indicates what you have to play on the left hand. As I mentioned, the lines and spaces tell you what notes are followed in the sheet, but the information about what convention is being followed for every group of lines is explained by a clef. A clef is a sign that goes at the beginning of the staff lines, and that tells you what notes are going to be followed for the remainder of the whole group of lines over here. This is known as the treble clef. This, you might have seen this symbol a lot. It's commonly known as the G clef also. That's because the line that goes through the circle intersection over here, that's the G note. Another clef that you're going to see in piano sheets particularly is going to be the bass clef, and bass clef will usually or commonly be at the bottom group of staff lines, accompanied by the treble clef on the top one. Both of these clefs tell you that the notes that go on top of these lines are going to be different, and in between the lines also. Here is an extensive list of notes that fall on the lines and spaces of the staff lines depending on the clefs that are present at the top at the beginning of it. So you'll see that the first line on the treble clef is the E note, whereas the same line on the bass clef is the G note, and so on and so forth. You'll see notes go ascending up as you go up, and as you go down, those are coming down in the other direction. Now you might notice that the C note over here is on an extra line which is not part of the treble clef or the bass clef. It is natural that some pieces might require notes that are outside of the capacity of these 5 lines, and for that you have to provide more lines or spaces by giving the lines extensions. These extensions are created by the lines that you see here that are drawn only for the length of that note. These lines are referred to as ledger lines. For the treble clef, you'll see that the ledger line at the bottom gives you the middle C note, whereas in bass clef, the ledger line at the top gives you the middle C note. And as you would imagine, these going down would go down in pitch, while going up would go up in pitch. Now, a few tricks to remember the notes over here, because these could be a lot. It could be pretty overwhelming to remember all of them by heart. So there are some mnemonics that help learning the notes on both clefs. If you see, the notes on the spaces in treble clef make the word face. You have F, A, C, and E. They make the word face. That's really easy to remember that way. And then you have the mnemonic of E, G, B, D, F, which are the notes on the lines of the treble clef. You could use the mnemonic "Every good boy doesn't fight" to remember the notes that go on the lines for treble clef, going from bottom to top. In the same way, on the bass clef, you have A, C, E, G on the spaces. You can think of it as "all cows eat grass." That's one way to remember it. And if you might notice, the notes over here, A, C, and E, are overlapping the A, C, and E of the treble clef, which means the bass clef is really just running two notes ahead of the treble clef. You will confirm the same theory with the lines as well. You have G, B, D, F, A, and here you had E, G, B, D, F. So the notes G, B, D, and F are common in the lines across the two, but you have you have the bass clef running two notes ahead, so it starts with the G and ends on the A. The mnemonic for this one you could use as "good boys don't fight always." You might see the similarities in the mnemonics also from the previous one, and that also helps you remember that bass clef is just running two notes ahead of the treble clef. It is a good practice to try to remember these as quickly as possible, so understanding the ledger line notations become easy, because there is no trick to understanding or predicting what immediately the next note will be on a ledger line. More than often you might need some more time with that, but you'll notice that patterns or the mnemonics that we just tried, they repeat once you put the ledger lines in. So you had F, A, C, E on the spaces of the treble clef, but as soon as you go to the F note on the top, you will see that repeat, but it will be on the lines this time. So you will have F, A on the ledger line, C on the ledger line, and this ends at D, but if you were to draw one more, that would have the E note over there. So you see face is repeated on the lines on the top. Same way you could try the other mnemonics and find the pattern. You'll also see the pattern go repeat itself across the staffs. You have F and A in the treble clef, in the bass clef, and C and E in the treble clef. That's just showing you that the notes keep repeating, and that is one trick to use or keep in mind while learning these notes over here. See you in the next lesson.